We are all forming cancers in our body all the time. You've got cancer, I've got cancer.
Did you know your body forms microscopic cancers every single day, and there are foods that may help your body fight them?
I've seen people go from stage 3, stage 4 cancer and wind the clock back and set themselves back to 0 stage cancer, something I would have thought I would never see in my career.
In this video, you'll discover 10 science-backed foods, each one supporting your body's defenses against cancer, with insights from Dr. William Li, Harvard-trained physician and author of Eat to Beat Disease. Food number 1, soy and edamame. For decades, women were told to avoid it because of breast cancer. But according to Dr. William Li, more than 20 years of clinical research suggest the opposite.
I could name 14 consecutive studies looking at soy intake and breast cancer, and in every single case, higher consumption of soy did not increase mortality. Rather, higher consumption of soy decreased mortality, decreased the risk of death.
14 studies. Every one of them found the same thing: more soy, lower mortality. Not most studies, every study. So what exactly is happening? The compounds in soy that sparked the controversy are called phytoestrogens. But despite the name, they are completely different from human estrogen. Instead of feeding cancer, they can actually block estrogen receptors. Dr. Li calls genistein, the key compound in soy, Mother Nature's tamoxifen. Tamoxifen is one of the drugs used to block estrogen in breast cancer patients. And soy contains a natural compound that behaves in a remarkably similar way. But the story gets even more interesting. In the late 1970s, a young researcher named Ted Fotzis was given a job nobody else wanted: sorting through old urine samples left over from hormone studies. Inside those samples, he found an unfamiliar compound. It came from soy. Its name was genistein. When he tested it in cancer laboratories, it blocked the blood vessels tumors were trying to recruit. That discovery became one of the foundations of the food as medicine research Dr. Li still builds on today. The evidence didn't stop there. The Shanghai Breast Cancer Survival Study followed 5,000 women who had already been diagnosed with breast cancer. Those who ate the most soy had a 30% lower risk of death and a lower risk of recurrence. And according to Dr. Li, soy's anti-cancer effects are not limited to women. Men benefit too. A cup of edamame, tofu, or a glass of soy milk a few times each week is enough to add it to your diet. While soy and edamame work by starving tumors and blocking estrogen, what most people don't know is that cancer begins when DNA is damaged. And according to Dr. Li, this next food fights cancer in a completely different way, by helping your body repair that damage. Food number 2, kiwi. Most people think cancer begins when a tumor appears. But according to Dr. Li, the process starts much earlier with damage to our DNA. Every day, billions of cells in your body divide and copy themselves. And every day, mistakes happen. Usually, your body finds those mistakes and repairs them before they become a problem. But if the damage isn't repaired, those mistakes can multiply over time. And that's what makes this small fruit so unusual.
Studies have been shown that actually if you eat 1 kiwi a day, it'll protect your DNA against damage by about 60%. If we ate 3 kiwis, it would actually help your body build any damaged DNA back by about 60%.
A fruit most people barely think about may be doing something extraordinary inside the body. And kiwi doesn't stop there. Research Dr. Li has cited suggests that even a single kiwi can begin shifting the gut microbiome toward healthier bacteria overnight. And because inflammation and cancer are deeply connected, those changes may matter more than most people realize. It's funny how some of the foods we ignored for years turn out to be the ones our bodies needed most. Looking back, what's one food you wish you had started eating sooner? Food number 3, matcha. According to Dr. Li, one of the most surprising discoveries about cancer didn't come from a pharmaceutical company. It came from tea. But matcha is not an ordinary green tea. Weeks before the leaves are harvested, they are covered and kept out of direct sunlight. In response, the plant produces extraordinary amounts of protective compounds called polyphenols. Then something unusual happens. The entire leaf is ground into a fine powder. You don't simply drink an extract, you consume the whole leaf. And among those compounds is EGCG, the same molecule Dr. Lee's laboratory has shown can cut off the blood supply that tumors need to grow. But what shocked him most goes even further.
So matcha tea actually is quite amazing. Actually done a study to show that matcha tea extracts can kill breast cancer stem cells.
Wow.
I'm always amazed by that because, look, as somebody who's been involved with biotech development and cancer treatment development, finding something that could kill stem cells, cancer stem cells, like breast cancer stem cells, which is what makes cancers come back, is a holy grail. We don't have a drug for it, but here, matcha tea actually been shown in the lab to actually be able to do that. To me, is actually really jaw-dropping.
Even Dr. Lee calls it jaw-dropping, not because matcha cured cancer, but because researchers observed something they have spent decades trying to achieve: the ability to target cancer stem cells in the laboratory. And suddenly, a cup of tea looks very different. Maybe that's why some traditions survive for hundreds of years. Long before scientists studied polyphenols or stem cells, people were already drinking matcha. By the way, what foods or drinks have been part of your family's traditions for generations? A lot can change in the body when blood vessels feeding a tumor are cut off, and the next food on our list works in exactly that way. Food number 4, watercress. Most people barely notice it. If they do, it's usually sitting quietly on the side of a plate. But scientists discovered that this small leafy green may be doing far more than anyone expected. Like broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts, watercress belongs to a family of vegetables known for producing compounds that help starve tumors and calm inflammation. Researchers at the University of Ulster asked volunteers to eat watercress every day for 8 weeks. Then they tested their blood. What they found was remarkable. The amount of DNA damage had dropped. At the same time, protective antioxidants had increased, not in mice, not in isolated cells, in real people. Sometimes the foods we overlook turn out to be the ones quietly working the hardest. Food number 5 isn't a food, it's a color. Deep blue, deep purple, deep red. Whenever you see those colors in fruits, vegetables, and grains, you are looking at compounds called anthocyanins. And in Dr. Lee's research, they appear again and again. Blueberries are perhaps the best-known example. One study found that eating blueberries can increase T cells, the immune cells that help hunt down cancer, by as much as 88%, all from the same compounds that give berries their color. You'll also find them in blackberries, cherries, red grapes, and purple cabbage. But there is one source that many people have never tried: black rice. Once reserved for the emperor in China, black rice was considered too valuable for ordinary people. People may not have understood the science behind it, but they knew there was something different about it. Today, researchers are beginning to understand why. Gram for gram, black rice contains anthocyanins in concentrations comparable to blueberries, among the highest found in any grain. And when you cook it, something remarkable happens. The water turns a deep shade of purple, a reminder that something far more interesting is happening beneath the surface, in the colors of the foods we eat every day. Food number 6, strawberries. Dr. Lee's laboratory has spent years developing and testing pharmaceutical compounds designed to cut off the blood supply feeding tumors. This wasn't nutrition research. These were serious testing systems developed alongside institutions like the National Cancer Institute and the National Institutes of Health, the same world where potential cancer treatments are studied and evaluated. Drug candidates, rigorous laboratory conditions. And at some point, his team decided to try something unexpected. They put strawberry extract into the same system they were using to test the drugs.
Strawberries have something called ellagic acid, cuts off the blood supply to tumors. This is all based on actually research I did years ago with the National Cancer Institute, where we were studying things to cut off the blood supply for breast and other cancers with drugs. And when we threw a strawberry extract in there, boom, like we got a score. We hit a home run.
That's crazy.
And so these are not replacements for your doctor, your oncologist, and not for drug therapy or women's health specialist. But these are things that you can do for yourself.
A home run in a laboratory helping develop cancer treatments with a strawberry. Researchers traced much of that effect to natural compounds found inside strawberries, including one called ellagic acid, which has been studied for its ability to interfere with the blood vessels feeding tumors. And suddenly, one of the most familiar foods in your kitchen starts to look very different. The next time you see strawberries at the grocery store, you'll probably see what everyone else sees: fruit. But inside Dr. Lee's laboratory, strawberries did something very different. They hit a home run. Strawberries seem to find their way into almost everyone's life at some point. Summer desserts, family gatherings, gardens, or childhood memories. What's one food from childhood that you still love today? Food number 7, artichokes. Microscopic cancers can exist in the body for years without causing harm, but for a tumor to become dangerous, it needs something else: a blood supply. Once cancer connects to a network of blood vessels carrying oxygen and nutrients, it can begin to grow rapidly. That's why researchers have become so interested in angiogenesis, the process by which tumors recruit new blood vessels. And if cancer depends on those blood vessels to grow, one obvious question follows: can food interfere with that process?
All of our health defenses, including the angiogenesis health defense, is hardwired to keep the body just right. So what that means is that eating foods like artichokes or strawberries or soy can actually help your body prevent extra blood vessels from growing towards cancer.
Part of that effect comes from compounds found naturally inside artichokes, including chlorogenic acid, the same compound that has helped make coffee one of the most studied foods in cancer and longevity research. Artichokes also contain inulin, a special fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. And as we age, those microbes become increasingly important in controlling inflammation throughout the body. For thousands of years, artichokes have been part of Mediterranean cooking, steamed with olive oil, slow-cooked in tomato sauce, folded into risotto. Long before scientists could see blood vessels under a microscope, people were already putting them on the table. The next food is something many people in the West have never put on a plate, but across much of Asia, it has been trusted for generations. Food number 8 isn't one food, it's an entire category: sea vegetables. And the most familiar example may already be sitting in a bowl of miso soup: wakame. Wakame, kelp, and other sea vegetables contain a compound called fucoidan, a natural substance found almost nowhere else on Earth. Researchers have been studying fucoidan for 2 reasons. First, because it appears to interfere with angiogenesis, the growth of blood vessels that tumors depend on to survive. And second, because of its effects on the immune system, helping support the body's own cancer surveillance mechanisms. One of the richest sources of fucoidan isn't a plant at all, it's sea cucumber, a marine animal eaten across China, Japan, and other parts of East Asia for centuries. To many people in the West, sea cucumber looks strange, but in many coastal cultures it has long been valued as food. Today, researchers studying fucoidan have found that compounds hidden in these foods may influence blood vessels, immunity, and the environment cancer depends on. The good news is that you don't need anything exotic. Wakame, the seaweed floating in miso soup, is inexpensive, easy to find, and sold in most Asian grocery stores. Food number 9, dark chocolate. One study looked at what happened when 60-year-old men with heart disease drank 2 cups of hot chocolate made with high flavanol cacao every day for 30 days.
Cacao has been shown to actually double the number of stem cells flowing in your bloodstream just by having 2 cups of hot chocolate made with 80% high flavanol chocolate. That's been done in people 60-year-olds with heart disease.
In some participants, the number of stem cells circulating in the bloodstream doubled. Dr. Lee describes stem cells leaving the bone marrow like bees leaving a hive, moving through the body in search of damaged tissue to repair. Blood vessel function improved, and the people in the study weren't elite athletes or young adults trying to optimize their health. They were men in their 60s, already living with heart disease. For decades, scientists have searched for ways to repair the damage that accumulates as we age. Few people expected part of that story to involve dark chocolate. Food number 10, apples. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. For a long time, it sounded more like folklore than science. But researchers now know that apples contain compounds and fibers that affect the body in ways previous generations could never have explained.
turns out that there is a potent bioactive polyphenol in apples called chlorogenic acid. It is a super potent anti-inflammatory substance found in the flesh of apples that when we eat it, really helps to lower our inflammatory biomarkers. And the fiber in apple feeds our gut microbiome, which then produces the short-chain fatty acids that further lowers inflammation.
An apple works in two different ways, through compounds like chlorogenic acid and through the fiber that feeds the trillions of microbes living inside us. Just a piece of fruit that people have been carrying in lunchboxes, placing on kitchen tables, and eating after dinner for generations. And maybe that's the perfect place to end, because after the soy, the kiwi, the matcha, the sea vegetables, and even the dark chocolate, we arrive back at something wonderfully familiar. Maybe your grandmother was right, not because she understood inflammation, the microbiome, or the science hidden inside an apple, but because she understood that some of the simplest foods are often the ones worth holding on to. At the beginning of this video, these were just ordinary foods: a bowl of edamame, a kiwi, a cup of matcha, a handful of berries, a square of dark chocolate, an apple sitting on a kitchen counter. Now you know something most people don't. You know that behind those everyday foods are decades of research, thousands of scientific papers, and discoveries that are changing how we think about cancer, inflammation, and the body's ability to protect itself. You know that the garnish pushed to the side of a plate can measurably reduce DNA damage, that a fruit most people never think about twice can help protect and repair our DNA, that foods people have eaten for generations are only now beginning to reveal their secrets, and perhaps most surprising of all, that some of the answers scientists are searching for in laboratories may already be sitting in our kitchens. No single food can prevent cancer, and none of them replaces the advice of your doctor. But your body has been fighting microscopic cancers every day of your life. And sometimes supporting those natural defenses can begin with something as simple as what is on your plate. Before you go, I'd love to know something. Of the 10 foods in this video, which ones are already part of how you eat? Watercress, kiwi, soy, matcha, dark chocolate, whichever ones are already in your kitchen, tell me in the comments. And tell me which food surprised you the most. And one more thing, if you are a woman who was ever told to avoid soy because of breast cancer, and you have been avoiding it ever since, tell me how long. Because for many women, that advice changed the way they ate for years. We covered a lot in this video. 10 foods, decades of research, and discoveries that most people have never heard before. But knowing what to eat is only part of the story. That's why I put together a companion guide. The video introduced the foods. This guide takes the next step. Inside, you'll find all 10 foods we talked about today, 5 bonus foods we didn't cover, practical shopping advice, and simple ways to prepare and pair these foods so you get the most from every meal. You'll find it linked in the first comment below. And if you are walking away with even one new idea or one new food to add to your kitchen, drop a like before you go. Your body has been fighting cancer every single day since before you were born. It is extraordinary at it. Give it a few more tools, and let it keep doing what it was designed to do. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. If you have been diagnosed with cancer or are currently receiving treatment, please speak with your oncologist or healthcare team before making significant dietary changes. Food can support your body's natural defense systems, but it is not a replacement for medical treatment. This channel is not affiliated with or endorsed by Dr. William Li. All content is based on his publicly available research, interviews, and published work. Your body has been protecting you your entire life, and it is not finished yet. Not at 60, not at 70, not at 80. And until next time, nourish yourself well.